Today in this lesson, I will explain the classification of hydrocarbons. So first of all, we need to know what are hydrocarbons. It has a very simple definition, that is, the compounds made up of hydrogen and carbon are called hydrocarbon. So initially, the hydrocarbons are classified into two groups. Number one is called aliphatic hydrocarbons, or they are also called open chain hydrocarbons, and the second is called cyclic hydrocarbons or closed chain hydrocarbons. Okay, when we talk about the aliphatic hydrocarbons, so aliphatic hydrocarbons are also classified into three groups. So number one type is called alkanes, second type is called alkenes, third type is called alkynes. Okay, when we discuss what are alkanes, so alkanes are hydrocarbon in which all the carbon-carbon bonds are single bonds. Okay, right now this is a very simple example in which you can see only two carbon. So this is not necessary that in a molecule we have only two carbon. Maybe they are more than two carbon. So what we will see that they should contain all carbon-carbon single bond, then they will be classified as alkanes. Now the second type is called alkenes. What are alkenes? Alkenes are hydrocarbons that contain a carbon-carbon double bond. So at least we should have carbon-carbon double bond, one carbon-carbon double bond. So it will be classified as alkenes. Similarly, the alkynes are hydrocarbons that contain a carbon-carbon triple bond. Now you can see a three line between these two carbon. So whenever you see these three lines, it means it is a carbon-carbon triple bond. So whenever at least we find three lines or triple bond in any hydrocarbon, so they will be classified as alkynes. Okay, now this was the classification of aliphatic. Now let's talk about the cyclic hydrocarbons. Basically, cyclic are basically first of all, let me explain with an example what is cyclic. The closed chain hydrocarbons are called cyclic. Now this is a very simple example in which you can see the three carbon are attached in such a way so they have a closed structure. So this closed structure indicate that this one is cyclic hydrocarbon. Okay, when we just classify this cyclic, so initially the cyclic hydrocarbons are classified into two groups. Number one group is called homocyclic, and the second group is called heterocyclic. So now let's talk about the what are homocyclic. So the hydrocarbon having all same atoms. When we talk about the hydrocarbon, the atom should be carbon in cycle are called homocyclic. Now in this example, now you can see this one is carbon, carbon, carbon and carbon. So all these atoms are carbon, so they will be classified as homocyclic hydrocarbons. Okay, another thing now, when we talk about the heterocyclics, so if you do remember what is the meaning of hetero mean different. So what will be the heterocyclic? So hydrocarbon having at least one atom different than carbon in cycle are called heterocyclic. Now you can see this one is carbon, 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 and then we have a different atom oxygen in the cycle, so this will be heterocyclic hydrocarbon. Okay, now furthermore, the homocyclic are also classified into two groups. Number one group is called alicyclic. Now you can see this one is the same example as I explained in homocyclic. So what is the definition of homocyclic? Oh sorry, alicyclic. The cyclic hydrocarbon which don't have alternate double bonds are also called alicyclic. So now you can see basically right now I'm showing the example having all the single bonds. So I can also call this one as a cycloalkane because all the carbon-carbon are single bonds. but initially you can say this is the best example for alicyclic. Okay, similarly the second type is called aromatics. So now what is the definition of aromatic? The cyclic hydrocarbon which have alternate double bonds or which contain one or more benzene rings are called aromatic. Okay, let me show you. Now this is the cyclic homocyclic hydrocarbon, and now in this homocyclic hydrocarbon you can see this one is double bond, and then after double bond we have single double single double. So in this way we can call this is alternate double bonds. And let me tell you right now, this is the 6 membered carbon ring having alternate double bond, and this one is also called benzene. So whenever we see a benzene ring, so this will be classified as aromatic hydrocarbon. Okay, furthermore the heterocyclic are also classified in the similar way. How? Let me show you the heterocyclic. So in the heterocyclic we have also have alicyclic heterocyclic. Okay, how? Now you can see the cyclic hydrocarbon which have at least one different atom and don't have alternate double bonds. Now this one is also alicyclic, a part of heterocyclic. You can say it, this one have carbon carbon single bond, but it also have a different atom, so we can also call this one as heterocyclic. Similarly in heterocyclic we also have aromatic hydrocarbon. Now what was the definition of aromatics? It should be a ring structure and it should contain alternate double bonds. So let me read this definition. The cyclic hydrocarbons which have alternate double bonds and which contain at least one different atom are called aromatic. Basically these aromatics are a part of heterocyclic. Okay, now here how can we say this one has alternate double bond? So if you see this one is double bond, this one is single, this one is double, but here we can't see any double bond. But when we just focus on this oxygen, if we do remember, oxygen has the lone pair. So this lone pair of electron just considered as alternate a pair of electron with respect to these pi electron. So this was the classification of hydrocarbon. Thank you, class.